Hey everybody, gonna work on adding mixed numbers today. Please label your next math page in your math notebook as such. When you have done so, close your math notebook and just concentrate with me. Make sure I remind you real quick what a mixed number is. Yesterday we talked about adding two fractions where they add up to more than a whole. So like these were a good example. Do 5/7 and 6/7. That adds up to 13. Nope, does not. 11/7. And 11/7 can kind of think of that as 7/7, which is a whole, and another 4/7. And we can write that as what we call a mixed number. This was called an improper fraction, and there's nothing wrong with those. They are just fine. But another way we write those sometimes is we kind of group the wholes together and say that that is 1 and 4/7, and we call that a mixed number. So we're going to add some of those together today. So I almost have the same problem two times here. I'm going to do two I do's. They're just about the same problem though. I'll show you the difference. So let's talk about this one on the left first. So wouldn't be a fraction lesson without pizza. So we're going to say Miss Mitchell and Miss Hunter both had pizza parties and both have lots of leftovers. Oops, I forgot to change this name here. Miss Mitchell has 2 1/8 leftover pizzas, like 2 pizzas and 1 piece. Miss Hunter has 4 5/8, like 4 whole pizzas and 5 pieces out of the next one. How much do they have all together? So all together, those are adding words. So I'm going to add 2 1/8 plus 4 5/8. Let me kind of show you two ways to do that. So one's with fraction bars. If you want to imagine it, here's Miss Mitchell's pizzas, 2 1/8. Here's Miss Hunter's pizzas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. 3, 4, 5. And so add means put together, right? So if I put together all their pizza, kind of makes sense to put the eighths together. Oops, I have an extra one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, I can't get rid of it. Well, just move them over here. Sorry, so let me go back to where I started with. So there's my 2 1/8, and there's my 4 5/8. So add means put together. So it makes sense to kind of put all the eights together and put all the wholes together and just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole pizzas and 6/8. So if I look at the visual, I can see that that is 6 6/8. And if you want to add, just like you would add whole numbers, if we go from the from the right to the left, I can add my fractions. 1/8 plus 5/8 is 6/8, and add my whole numbers. 2 and 4 is 6, and that's really what I did on the bars too, right? I put the 5/8 and the 1/8 together, got 6/8. Put the wholes together and got 6. So you can add it with arithmetic like this, or you can visually draw the 2, the 8, the 4, and the 5/8. Now, same situation here, but I changed my fractions on you just a little. What if instead of 2 1/8, Miss Mitchell had 2 6/8 pizzas? Changes my situation just a little. So let me go back here and go back to my original situation. So now instead of 2 1/8, I've got 2 6/8 here. Actually, I'm going to start snapping. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this situation, 2 6/8 pencil. 2 6/8 plus 4 5/8. So what happens now is when I combine, I have another whole. Like I'm going to start adding my pieces together. And when I get up to 8/8, I have a new whole. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole pizzas. And 1, 2, 3/8. So if I draw it, I can kind of easily see that, right? The 8/8 go together and make a whole. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wholes and 3/8. So if I draw it, it's real easy to see where that came from. If you want to do the arithmetic instead, no problem. You just have to be aware that this is going to add up to more than a whole, right? So if I try to add those up, 6/8 plus 5/8 is 11/8, right? And so what's going to happen is, and 2 and 4 is 6. So I get a mixed number where I've got a whole number and an improper fraction. You can't have that. Improper fractions are fine, mixed numbers are fine, but both at the same time, not fine. So what I have to then do is say, all right, well, that's like 6 and 8/8 and 3/8. Because I can make a whole out of this 11/8. So I'm going to regroup that whole into one more whole and get 7 and 3/8. Since this has more than a whole, I end up having to regroup one whole out of this improper fraction. And we saw that happen here, right? With the bars, 3 of these came over to regroup into a new whole. And then I had 3 left over. All right. Let's do a couple in your notebook. All right, so same deal. We're going to do the exact same problem almost twice. I just made one little change over here. So, on the Hardy Head track, James jogged 3 1/6 miles on Tuesday and another 3 4/6 on Wednesday. How far did James jog in all? So I've got 3 1/6 plus 3 4/6. And that's an easy one to just do the arithmetic, right? I can go, if you want to make a note to yourself, just like when I add whole numbers, I start in the ones and move to the tens, then move to the hundreds, then move to the thousands. I'm going to start at the right and move to the left. 1/6 plus 4/6 is 5/6. 3 and 3 is 6. So altogether, he ran 6 whole miles, 3/6. And he also ran 5/6 part of a mile. Pretty simple. Gets a little trickier if we change this number over here. So same problem, we're going to do 3 5/6 on the first day instead. So if instead he jogged 3 5/6, I run into this issue again where these are going to be more than 1. So if I kind of go to my bars just to show you how that works again, if you want to draw these, I have 3 and 5/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the next day he did 3 and was it 4/6? 4/6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so when I add together, I combine, I put together, there's almost a whole already here, so when I put one more, I've made a new whole. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole miles and 3/6 of a part mile. So I'm going to even notate that for you here. So one thing you can do is draw. And if you're not into the bars and the drawing strategy, you can still do this with arithmetic. You end up getting 4 and 5 6 makes 9/6. Remember, we're going right to left. And 3 and 3 makes 6. And make a note to yourself, you can't combine mixed, and improper. Just not allowed to do that. Improper fractions are fine. Mixed numbers are fine. You can't have both at the same time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of rewrite that as 6 and 6/6 and 3/6. So I'm going to make a new whole. And I'm going to regroup it over here. So I'm going to just make that now a 7 whole miles and 3/6 of a part. Just like I got with my drawings. Alright, so that's 2 strategies, arithmetic and drawing, for adding mixed numbers. If you need to go back and watch either example again, please do, so that you come to class ready to roll tomorrow. Once you feel like you've got a handle on it, you're all set, and I'll see you tomorrow.